Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're going back to basics with a guide on how to load balance a full solid biofuel biomass burner setup, as well as your basic coal generator setup for new players in Satisfactory, so you can get off to a good start while you wait for a perfect guided factory playthrough. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now if we check out the burner, we can see that if we click here, solid biofuel burns at 4 per minute, which means when we have a constructor producing it at 60 per minute, we can take that 60, divide it by 4, and we have 15. This is the amount of biomass burners that can run on a single constructor running at full tilt, producing solid biofuel. So that's what we're going to base this facility on today. We're going to place it here. This may be being fed with biomass from leaves, wood, mycelia, or even alien protein. I normally just stick to wood. It consumes 60 per minute and produces 300 biomass per minute. Do bear in mind that you will have to use Mark II belts to fill your solid biofuel, because it runs at 120. But given that we have our constructor here, and let's say it's receiving the biomass and producing the solid biofuel, let's set up a biomass generator layout. Now for this, I am going to build this on the floor, but also we are going to use the towers when necessary to help give us a better viewpoint for our build. So the first thing that we're going to do is a good few foundations away, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably here, 6 foundations in, we're going to have a splitter. Now this can be fed with a Mark I belt from the constructor, and this will hold all of our solid biofuel. Next to this, we're going to place a merger. This merger is going to be placed in front, to the right, and to the left. And we're going to connect all of these up with a Mark I belt. At this point, we are going to have to place a splitter in front of each of these. Now for this, we are going to have to split each one of these sets or arms from this splitter into 5. And I've placed a merger here because what we're going to do is we're always going to recycle one of the outputs. So we're going to place 2 splitters either side. Each splitter has 3 outputs, so you've got 3 here, these notified by these orange arrows, and same here. Now because we're splitting into 5 rather than 6, the way that we circumvent that is we have 3 outputs on one splitter going to biomass burners, and then 2 on the other, and the third one goes back to the start, starting the cycle again. And in this circumstance, we won't need to worry about any other issues in terms of load balancing. So we're just going to, at this point, place 5 biomass burners, each in line, starting from the side or this output. And we're going to place them in line, notified by that blue line there. And you can see that here, if I press H, I can lock this hologram, that the output here is in line with the input here. If you hold control while you're placing these, you'll actually get these to snap together, which makes it a lot easier. So here we have 5 biomass burners, and we're going to connect them each with a belt. And we're going to set it to straight mode. This is done by holding R to bring up the radial, or you can tap R to go to default mode and tab between them. By doing this, we have these nice straight 90-degree curves or corners. We're going to do that for each of the 5 outputs that we've selected, with the 6th one going back to the start. We're now going to repeat this on the other side, but before I do that, let me show you what this looks like from above. At the end of this little tutorial guide, I will give you a bird's eye view. So we're going to point down so that you can see exactly how it looks, and you can copy this layout out for yourself. But we will be moving on to coal power after this as well. So you can see how we've layered the first 5. We're now going to do this to the right, and then finally at the front or the top of this grid, we're going to do another 5. At this point, this load balanced biomass burner solid fuel setup is done. You can take a screenshot or pause this here if you do want to copy the layout itself. Just make sure that you do connect all of these biomass burners to the same grid. You can do this however you want. I'm just going to place them all in a straight line at roughly the same point in front of one another against this conveyor. And here we are. You can see it's all starting up now. The green lights are going to flicker on once the solid biofuel enters the biomass generators. And we can see that the system is running because everything is splitting perfectly between all of the belts. I say that, I think I may have missed a belt here. Yeah, I did. Whoops. Well, the easy way to notice if you've missed something is if you don't see anything coming out. So there you go. They're all running, and I will check the power grid as well while we're here. And here we are. We can see that with this setup here, we have a max capacity of 450 watts. This particular setup should be able to get you through to coal power, which we'll jump over to now. I want to give you these basic layouts so that we can, first of all, let you play the game how you want to and explore it, but help you out with the biggest things that tend to be the problems for new players. Now, if you would like some perfect layouts for iron or copper, let me know and perhaps we'll do that next. And then I do intend to get that guided playthrough, which will see you all the way through the game at a later date. It's just taking much longer to produce than I'd anticipated, so I do apologize for that. This here is going to be the setup that I'm going to teach you how to make. It's pretty simple and it's a perfectly efficient setup, providing you follow this. I'm not going to do any underclocking, we're not going to oversaturate any belts. This is perfectly balanced and takes 120 coal along a manifold and feeds it into 8 coal generators. This generates 600 megawatts, and providing you set up the system like this, you shouldn't have any issues. You should have a flat graph in terms of production, meaning nothing is turning on and off. In fact, I'll show you mine now. And here you can see we're consuming 60 megawatts to run this grid. This is excluding the miner because I've used advanced game settings to bring the coal in. And it's producing 600 megawatts of power. You can see we have our capacity up here, and that is also our production. And then we have our max consumption and our consumption. You can see it's all perfectly flat, which is great to see when you're looking at a power graph in Satisfactory. One thing to bear in mind when you start working with water is that the water extractors have a max head lift. So if we were to click on this now, you would see that we're producing 120 water per minute. And if you check in the production tab over here, we can see that the max head lift is 10 meters, which means water that's extracted from here can go up 10 meters, which is a 4-meter foundation, 4-meter foundation, and then a 2-meter foundation. If the pipe is higher than this, the water is going up here, then the water will not pass above this unless you're using a pump or some other systems that we'll talk about in another video. This is why having a coal plant like this close to the ground, ideally alongside the water in this area, is perfect, because you don't need to worry about that. Now, before I build this, I do want to point out the system that we have here. This is a full closed loop system. We have 360 water being produced by 3 extractors going into a Mark 1 pipe, which has a maximum throughput of 300, which I'm sure you have questions about, into all of these. None of the extractors are turning off, and the reason for this is because the coal generators are consuming the water fast enough that the water is balancing out. So what's happening in these pipes is the middle extractor that you can see below us is splitting its 120 water in 2 directions, to the left and the right. Now, liquids in pipes will balance out. That's why they slosh back and forth. However, because our coal generators are consuming 300 water per minute, the water is being used up before it's oversaturating. So we have 60 water going to the left, converging with the 120 water in this one, and then we have 180 water traveling around this side of the loop. However, by the time it meets in the middle, the water has already been consumed by these 4 coal generators. And the same is going on this side, with the water flowing to the right and up and around the loop. This means that there is never at any point more water trying to fit into the pipe than the 300 max throughput, and is what's allowing this to run. One other thing that I should also point out is we're using a manifold for the coal. Notice how the coal is fully backed up on all the front generators. This is because a manifold works by saturating the first few production or power buildings before moving on to the end. This is why it doesn't work for the biomass burners very well. However, in this circumstance, once it's up and running and all the generators are fully saturated, this is going to run perfectly, because the last 2 will constantly receive the coal that they need to run. It just will take a little bit of warming up unless you fill the generator with coal first. And here we are on our grid. Now, we can get to work just placing these, but it's probably going to be easier if you're struggling at building things on the ground level to build a lookout tower. This is a great way to get an overhead view and to give you a little bit of a better perspective when it comes to building, though you probably won't rely on it as you get further into the game. So we're going to place this coal generator just in front of us and slightly to the side of this middle section here. By the way, if you are wondering how I'm able to snap that hologram, just press H. Doing so will snap the hologram, and then you can use the left and right, up and down mouse keys to nudge the hologram into the desired position. Now, because we need to place 8 of these, we're going to place 3 more to the left, and we're going to place 4 more to the right. First of all, hold Control, find the closest gap to it, and place that one down. We're going to do the same next to this, and then another one just to the left of that. And we're now going to do 4 to the right. Next, we're going to place our pipes. Now, our pipes will want to be about a foundation away from the entrance to the coal generator. And you can tell when you're in the right position because you get a blue line lining up with the other pipe junction. And you can also see the blue line there, that's the output going into the input, which is the red line. We're now going to do the same on this side. And we'll do the other ones just down here so that you can see how it feels. We're going to stand in front of the coal generator in the alignment, and you can see here that we are slightly off. So if we nudge it back, we're going to just pull it back, and there we've got the blue line. With that position, and we have this position here. And from here, we're going to use our pipeline. I'm just going to use one of these. You can use ladders. I'm just going to jump on top. You'll find me in the early game often jumping on top of conveyors and pipelines just to get a little bit of height so that we can easily join these all up. Okay, and the next thing for us to do, we're going to grab our splitters here, and we're going to place them. Doesn't really matter, but we want them in line, so we're going to place them just so that they're clipping inside of the pipe. Don't worry too much about this, because we're going to place them 3 high and then delete the bottom 2. And this is just making it easier for us because we're going to have our logistics for the coal above and our water below. And from here we can grab ourselves an elevator, and then we can connect them up like so. Sometimes there are problems with connections, so it can pay to just check that you can't snap a conveyor between the output of the splitter and the conveyor lift. And we're going to do this all the way along. So place it 3 high, delete the 2 under. If you're wondering how to multi-delete, when you've got your delete tool out, hold Control and you can just go over it. And you can undo that by holding Control and then, or pressing Control while you're looking at them. Next, we're going to run a line through these. I'm using a Mark II here, but at the end of the line, you only really need to use a Mark I. But it's good practice just to run the max speed of the belt all the way through so you don't have any accidents. Now, it's quite difficult for us to see what we're doing in this position. I can make out that it's about there that we need to place this, because we can see the line here and the line there. But it's not the easiest to build. So what I'm going to do is slide under the belt. We can do this by running and then pressing C. And now we're in this little segment. We can connect this with an elevator. And we can do the same under here. Grab our splitter and remove these 2. Okay, so we have placed our manifold, and you can see we're feeding it with coal, and it's going to a Mark II belt. Actually, it's just filled up. Fantastic. One thing that we need to do on this side is connect all of these to a power line. If we don't do that, these won't turn on in a little moment. I'm not doing anything particularly clean with them. We just want to get them going, and I want this done before night falls so that it's nice and easy for you to see. So we'll just run around now. And now we're going to be placing our water extractors. Now this is quite simple. All we're going to need to do is find the middle roughly, and then from here we are going to grab our pipe. We're going to place it just in the middle. From here we're going to grab our water extractor, and if we hold Control, it should, if it's behaving, oh dear, it's not. It should, there we go, it should snap into position if we're holding Control. So we can place that down. Just make sure that it's not snapping to something else. Let's just try and connect it up. If you're struggling, you can always place a foundation. There you go. And we're going to hold control and place another water extractor to the right and to the left of it. We're going to do the same process and making sure that they are aligned. Like so, and then we're going to connect them up. Like that. At this point, we need to connect the ends with these ends. So we're going to bring it down to the end here, and then we're going to place it back 2, and then run it around to there. And that should create, I'll just show you there, a nice little right angle. We're now going to do the same on the other side, like so. And the last thing that we need to do is connect all of these together via power and turn this on. Unfortunately, it does need kick-starting before the whole system will turn on. And to do that, knowing that it's going to consume 60 megawatts, we can place down 2 biomass burners or connect it to our current grid. So make sure these are connected together. Now, if these are connected already and we add the solid biomass, it's going to trip. And if we try and do it together, it's going to trip again because they both trip at separate moments. So what we can do is remove the connecting line, don't actually need that, and then turn this on. These will both turn on and have a capacity of 60, and from here we can connect this, and then from here flick the fuse, and it should run perfectly. Nice. Now at this point we need to connect the water extractor with the power grid at the back. And then from here, we should see these start to turn on. And once they turn on, we can remove these, but only once they've started running. So this one started running. Let's wait for a couple more because they're going to turn on and off whilst the water balances out. If we look here, we'll be able to see. You see these peaks and troughs? This is the coal power plants turning on and then turning off because they're running out of water. So we need to let this run a little bit, but it's going to gradually start becoming a flatter and flatter line like this. In fact, I would go as far as to say at this point, we can remove our biomass burners. Yeah. Now at this point we need to make sure that this is all going to run. So I'll place a tower and we'll just wait for it all to turn on. Now it may take a little bit of time. We can see the lights behind. I should mention with the lights, green means that it's running, yellow means that it's waiting for something, and red will mean that it's not connected. Thought I saw a red one then. Let's have a look at the power chart. Starting to level out, still not quite there. And it's taken about 5 minutes. What's happened is that because this is a manifold for the pipes as well, the water needs to saturate inside of them. So it can take a little bit of time. But if you look here, you can see we're now at 100% efficiency. But there you are, guys. I hope you found this video useful. I know that we've gone really back to basics with this, but I really feel that it's important for people who are joining the game for the very first time not to be overwhelmed with do this, do this, do this, and to really show what's being done. I hope you find that helpful. If you are new to the game, please do let me know your thoughts on these guides. I will be doing even more detailed guides on these at a later date, as well as the guided playthrough. I'm just trying to catch up with all my work in the Let's Play series as well at the moment because it's pretty busy my end. But I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, if you've learned something, please let me know in the comments below. But as always, special thanks does go to our Lunar Eclipse Patrons. Firefless the Calamity Ben, and start on our blood moon of the day, which today is Shlom. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.